what I always find interesting, though, is when I get emails about something. For example, I'll give you probably the best example is I interviewed Daniel Dennett, the philosopher. I did a written interview with him. And I've mentioned this a few other times, but it's probably the best example of the disconnect between people who are really thinking for themselves and people who don't. There was a portion of the interview with Dennett where I was talking about Dennett having sat back in 99 or 2000 on one of these millennial panels talking about the most important person of the last 1,000 years. And I was amazed when I saw him and Pink and a few other famous guys, and they never mentioned Genghis Khan. To me, Genghis Khan, even though he's a mass murderer and whatnot, is by far the most influential person of the last millennium. And the reason is because he had the most influence. If you took him out of the picture, China would have been different, the West would have been different, the Muslim world would have been different, everything would have been different, basically. And Dennett, when I saw him on this video, he was mentioning these minor people that didn't have nearly the influence of Genghis Khan. So I asked Dennett something along the lines of, why didn't you mention someone like Genghis Khan? And I laid out the reasons of how different the world would be. And he made this like little idle quip that, well, I guess I don't know much about Genghis Khan. And he totally sidestepped the issue. And Dennett is one of these intellectuals that has a very slim range of what he knows about and what he can speak of. And online, Jessica and a few other people had showed me links of people on blogs, and maybe about 15 or 20 people in their blogs who came across the Dennett thing. All of them were like, "How dare I ask Dennett such a question?" And that was a stupid question and whatnot. And yet, of the dozens of emails that I've gotten about that, almost all of the people that have emailed me about it, probably 95%, have been like, why didn't Dennett answer that question? That was a great question. So there's this disconnect between the rabble and the masses that look at things and say, well, Daniel Dennett is famous. Dan Schneider isn't nearly as famous as Daniel Dennett. So clearly, Dennett must be correct in what he said simply because he's famous. Dan Schneider is not nearly as famous, so his must have been a stupid question. Whereas the people who have looked at my website, and sure, some of them are going to be mindless fans of my own, but most of them were able to look and say, well, that was a great question. Why did he just slough that off?